Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SKTV. We'd like to welcome each and every one of you. Welcome to the show. Um, Today is what? Sunday, May 15, 2022. Want to welcome each and every one of you. Um, as you are logging on, let's ensure that we share the show and let's welcome others. Let's invite others as well. Telvi, how are you?
I'm too. Happy Sunday. There's
Happy.
feedback.
Say it again, please.
There's a lot of feedback.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it's my end. I don't have any other device open.
I th-
Anyway,
it might be from your end because
you think so?
I
Okay.
have nothing. I
Can
have
you hear it
nothing.
now? Is it
Yeah,
better?
speak. Let me hear it, please.
Hello, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can
Well,
hear you. I can see
well,
you.
we want to
There's
welcome each and every one of you to the show today. As you are already aware, we are in conversation slash interview. I don't know however you want to term it with Mr. Cummings, Mr. Alexander Cummings, who happen to be the political leader of the ANC. We want to welcome each and every one of you. Um, Welcome to the show. Tavi, what
yes,
say
sir.
you? How's your Sunday as we make contact with the team in Liberia?
So it's been great. Would be, Texas here. I don't know if Arizona you can get hot like the way we are in Texas, but it's very hot, like almost 100, high 90s. And so, I mean, I like the heat. I like the hot weather. So it works for me, even though I'm not out there in the sun as much. But just to know that we've moved past that whole winter and we're experiencing summer. And so I'm loving it. Beautiful day, beautiful sunshine. People are swimming, people are walking out, enjoying the weather. And I love it.
Okay, well, enjoying the weather and you love it. Well, we are headed towards the summer, so that's expected, right? Um, what else? What else is going on? How's the birthday? How's everything? Because we should be getting started here and we should move. How's the birthday celebration? How's everything?
Well, the birthday, we celebrated it all week. Then, Mother's Day just crowned it out on Sunday. And so it was a very beautiful week. Beautiful week. So we'll move on to a new week. Looking forward to what this week have in store for us, one day at a time. But it was beautiful. Very beautiful.
Okay, well, as you said, it was beautiful. The week was beautiful. And I think you look forward to coming to Arizona, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I saw
The
you getting.
flights will be touching down soon.
Okay. Well,
So,
ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is SKTV. We should be getting started here momentarily. We should get into the program here ASAP. We want to welcome all of you. We want you to please share the show, invite your friends, family members, loved ones, as we again make connections here with Liberia. We should be starting momentarily. But
is Sekou joining us today?
yeah, Sekou should be on in just a minute.
Okay, just
He just
checking.
text me as well.
Okay.
But tell, quick question though, in terms of today and the expectation for Mr. Alexander Cummings, what are some of your expectations? What should the Liberian people expect, whether from you or from Mr. Cummings, amidst everything that's going on in the world?
So before I address that question, how long do we have Mr. Cummings for today? So make sure we manage our time and also don't abuse his time.
Most definitely, we should have Mr. Cummings here if everything goes well for 90 minutes.
Oh, that's the agree upon time?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, yes.
So
That should be the agree upon time.
okay, just want to make sure so we, like I said, make sure we manage the time. But I mean, of late, we know for the last few months, Mr. Cummings has been trending in the news almost every day, multiple times in a day, maybe. And so, want to talk about those trending issues. We're not going to go much into the case, facts of the case, but the case is trending. But there's some things that I think he needs to speak to. And so it'll be important for him to just address it. Liberians around the world want to know certain things when it comes to the case. Also, want to find out his plan for Liberia. I understand he's running, or he tend to lead the country. So he has some of his plans on those high risk area, those things that top priorities in the country. So I hope to, or hopefully we'll touch on those things and some things that are trending with this government. What are his thoughts about it? And if given the opportunity, how is he going to handle it? And then if he has some open recommendations. So a lot more.
Okay, how is he going to handle it, and if he has some open recommendations? Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, please help us share the show here, as we should be getting straight and directly into the conversation in just a moment here. Tell me, but on another note, I want to make sure I throw this in there before we move any further to whether it's to the musical break really quick, start the show, and then see if we can bring Mr. Cummings in ASAP and get started with this program here. I wanted to also find out some things about you. Most recently, we saw a publication in Front Page Africa and other news outlets in Liberia and maybe around the world, pointing out to 300,000 signatures that was turned over to Representative Chris Smith and maybe other people. And there was this talk of sanction that is popping up. What say you? What is your take? Do you think it's about time? What's your view on this?
I don't have a problem with the signature in itself. I think if I've had some questions, it's just like Talvina Curious Mind, the source, how it was gathered. Some people have problem with them taking it to, the Congress here versus taking it to the legislature in Liberia. The legislature in Liberia has proven that they're dead weight. And so giving them whether 500 signatures or 100 signatures, it doesn't matter. They're not going to act in the best interest of the people. So I don't have a problem then with whoever the group. I saw pictures, including yesterday was in that picture taking it over. I'm more concerned of how it was gathered, what questions were asked, and it, like I said, the source. And it's just that, I guess that auditory me that always got to come up. So that's just it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, now that we have the team in Liberia here settling in, that's the signal we were waiting for.
I run to him, I celebrate like God. When enemies come my way, thunder fire them. I've got a reason for my life. Enemies come my way, thunder fire them. I've got a reason for my life. White peace on the board and the power in his
well, ladies and gentlemen, we are all set and ready to go with the team from Liberia. I want to welcome each and every one of you to the show here this afternoon. Time here is 11:12 a.m. in Arizona on the East Coast. It should be 2:13 p.m. Midwest or Central Standard Time. It should be 1:30 p.m. 1:13 p.m. We want to welcome each and every one of you to the show. Let's turn quick to Johnson from Liberia and let him greet our people as we go straight here into the musical break. Johnson, how are you and how's everything? How's our people in Liberia? How's the weather? Johnson, are you getting us? All right, Johnson is not apparently hearing us. I am not sure what's going on. They seem to have a good signal today. So we'll move forward.
True FM 96.1, the heart
Johnson,
and
can you hear
soul
us?
of Liberia.
Commercials.
Johnson, can you hear us really quick so that we can get started? We need to get this.
Can you put something in the chat for him?
Yes, please. As we move on into this program, really, really quick. We have to get this program moving. Johnson, can you hear us?
Seems he's staring at the screen, but he's not hearing.
Yes, he might have to go out and come back in. Wonderful. He figured he wasn't hearing us. All right, Telvi, really quick. We are about to get to the musical break. We can't wait any longer for Johnson or the crew from Liberia. I believe while we are on the musical break, he should be able to come. Let's share the show really quick here. Let's share the show. We want to welcome all of you. If you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, this is SKTV. We are poised to have a conversation here with Mr. Alex Cummings, who is the standard bearer for the ANC. Let me see, Johnson just signaled me. Johnson, welcome to the show. Can you hear us? He says they're having bad signal, but we will either ways, we have to get this program running. We have to get it on because Mr. Cummings has to go. He's been in the back for a few minutes now. So we have to get this program running. Let's share the show, please. Invite others as we get here and as we connect with the folks from Liberia. Let's get quick to our musical break here. Help us share the show. Once we get back, go ahead, Tel.
Quick question: are we taking calls so I know if I need to grab the phone?
Most definitely so. Would you please?
Okay.
Considering the last time Mr. Cummings was on here, he did promise the audience that he would interact with them as well.
That'll be a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Quickly to our musical break, and right after that, we will be getting into our conversation here.
SKTV. And the network here is a little bit bad because of the weather condition. month of March.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending where you all want to say, welcome to SKTV once again. Telvi, how are you? I saw you dancing in the back. How you doing? Oh, you're muted.
Always dancing. Good to see
Uh,
you, Sekou. We miss you.
Thank you. Yeah. So first, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us once again. The folks in Liberia just joined us, but for some reason we are having some technical difficulties uh, with the connection in Liberia. Talking about Truth FM 96.1 in Liberia. Today we are privileged to have Mr. Cummings with us, the political leader for the Alternative National Congress, known as the ANC. Also, the presidential hopeful, former candidate, and expected to be a candidate for the coming election 2023. When it's about politics, Liberia, we always awake. I can see that from the onset. A lot of people are eager to hear from Mr. Cummings. So I just want to give you maybe like 2 minutes. The folks in Liberia are trying to get a connection together. I think they are back here. Let's see here if Mr. Melbourne is ready.
Man, fight.
Mr. Melbourne, can you hear me?
96.1, the heart and soul of Liberia.
Mr. Melbourne, can you hear me? Yeah, I think we are having some technical difficulty in Liberia, but what we'll do, we'll wait a little bit until he can get situated. But what we're going to do right here, since the guest is already here, first of all, I want to apologize for starting a little bit late because of some technical issue. And, we want to apologize, but, however, it said that it is better late than never. So, Steve, before we bring Mr. Cummings on, good morning to you as well. So I want Telco to say hi to our people. Then we'll go to Steve, and then we bring the guests on so we can get started right away. Even though the radio station, they are still working on the internet is the one that been giving people problem in Liberia. That's why you need a better president. I don't know if Mr. Cummings is the better one, but we need a better president in Liberia that can make things easier for our people. Trust me. This is not the way of life. And those are basic necessity, So, Steve, good morning. Telco, good morning. Telco to you first. What do you have to say to our people this morning?
Just wanted to say it's afternoon my end. It's 1:22, so good afternoon.
That's fine.
Around the world. We say thank you for taking some time of your Sunday to be with us. We don't take that for granted. You would have been doing other things, if not anything, resting. But you took your time to be here, so we appreciate your time, and we ask you to share the show, enjoy the show, ask questions, but be civil even as you're doing that. Even in your disagreement, be civil. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. Steve?
Well, good afternoon to everyone. Good morning from out in here in Phoenix. It's about 11:23. We want to welcome all of you to the show. As always, we're excited to have Mr. Cummings here and any other person that's invited to SKTV. We want to welcome Mr. Cummings again. He's not a stranger to SKTV. He's been here more than once. We look forward to having a conversation with Mr. Cummings concerning Liberia and about Liberia. But most importantly, as we always say here, the Liberian people are the most important
people. 96.1, the heart and soul of Liberia. News,
so that we can have this conversation. And that being said, we also want to remind you and reassure the Liberian women that they're the most beautiful women on earth. That's a fact that will never change. Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Back to you.
Yo, thank you very, very much. So, Mr. Melbourne, can you hear me? Mr. Melbourne, if you can hear me, please give me a thumb up so I can know exactly you're there. You can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm getting you people loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. That's exactly what I was waiting for. I wanted to make sure that This
Yeah.
particular show today is aired in Liberia, so that the people in Liberia can hear from us, so you can have thousands and thousands of people listening to us on the radio, not just on Facebook. But I want to say thank you to each and every one. Those of you listening to us in Liberia, I want to welcome you to SKTV once again. Today with us is Mr. Alexander B. Cummings, the standard bearer and the political leader for the Alternative National Congress, the ANC. Mr. Cummings, welcome to SKTV once again. How are you, sir?
I am great, Seku. Wonderful to be with you, Steve and Kelvin. I think this is my third interaction. I'm excited and looking forward to the conversation.
All right. So, how does that feel coming back to SKTV anyway? Before we get started, because I want to know, because you've been going to a different area, having different conversation, and how is it coming back to SKTV today? I mean, like you said, your
It's
third or fourth time.
yeah, it's long overdue.
Okay.
Should have been back a long time ago, Kelvin. But as you said, Seku, earlier, better late than never, right?
Right.
Yeah, of
So
course.
we're back and we're ready to have a very good and interactive conversation. I sincerely always enjoy coming on the show. Your questions are incisive. Uh, you do it with respect, with humor, but you ask the tough questions, and that's all we can ask for. So I'm looking forward to the next hour and a half or so of conversation.
All right, folks. Just to get started, those of you listening to us on the radio, want to say welcome to SKTV, and those of you that are watching us here live on Facebook, as usual, we always do our housekeeping. We call it housekeeping. Is making sure that we to put our house in order, and we do this for every guest, not just one person. So it's always good to disagree with the guest. It's always good to say no, that's not true. That's fine. When you have the opportunity, you can come and tell us what is the truth. But you want to make sure you remain respectful in our disagreement. You want to make sure you remain, you know, honest and kind to each other as we have important conversation. Disagreement is not a problem. Telling somebody, you're not telling the truth, if they're lying, that's okay. But if you think you have the alternative, you have something else to counter what that person, or to refute what that person is saying, is okay. But you can't come here to insult people. We don't do that here. So we appreciate everybody for coming on, and want to encourage each and every one of you to share the show. That's what we do here, so that our friends, our followers and fans, well wishers that always come on the show, that are complaining that they are not being seeing the notification, so they too can be aware that we are live and we are having a very important conversation here as it relates to Liberia. Mr. Cummings, with that said, as is right now, do you regret joining, engaging in the Liberian politics, giving all the rigmarole roles?
Before I answer your question directly, let me first of all, Seku, say a very, 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 very belated Eid Mubarak. So I wanted to acknowledge that. Two, I want to say a happy belated birthday to Telvi. It's impolite to ask me the ages, so we won't do that.
I can
But
know my
happy,
age.
No. You don't have to be good.
but happy birthday to you. I wish you many, many more happy and healthy ones. And then, last but not least, yesterday we just celebrated Unification Day. And it's important to acknowledge that one of the ways we will change Liberia is by coming together as a people. Sekou, Steve, and Tavia, I remind us that you don't choose the tribe you're born into. It's not a choice. You don't choose when you're born. You don't choose whether you're young or old. You don't choose your gender, whether you're man or woman. You don't choose the religion you're born into. So none of those things should give you an advantage or disadvantage over anybody else. And too often, we use those things to divide us, to give one person or one group some privilege over the other or to disadvantage the other. And I just want to remind us as our people that we have to unify ourselves. We have to come together. We are in this 43,000 square mile border. It's not going to change. Nobody's going to go anywhere. And it's up to us to work together as a people if we want to change Liberia. And if God blesses me with an opportunity to serve our country, that will be one of the key messages. And so yesterday and every May 14 is a significant day because, again, it's important that we come together as a people. And I wanted to sort of kick that off. But to answer your specific question with regards to any regrets for any of the politics, the answer is no. You know, Sekou, I always say I've been very blessed in life. And I feel an intense obligation to want to help, to give back to our country and to our people. And so I have no regrets. A lot of lessons learned over the last, 6 or so years that I've been involved in Liberian politics. I've learned a lot, but I have absolutely no regrets about entering our politics. The good news is, there's a time clock here. We got about 17, 18 months to go. And we'll know then or there where the Liberian people are and who they choose to lead them for the next 6 years. But no regrets at all. Despite the hits, we've had some triumphs along the way. As I said, I've learned a lot, and those lessons will only benefit me in the future.
Okay, so a few months back, you were pretty much not only being a household name, when you were moving from one platform to another, Mr. Cummings was the talk of the town, in Liberia when it comes to Liberian politics. And you were making headway among people. You were making some inroads among people in Liberia, both in the diaspora and in Liberia. How is it going right now? Is it stall, or is it making progress, or you think, it's just, in the middle? What's going on right now? A few months ago and now?
Actually, we're still making headway. I don't have any what you call empirical evidence to prove it, but I still think we're the fastest growing political party in Liberia today. There's still a lot of energy on the ground here in Liberia and in the diaspora. And by the way, this trial, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the next several minutes or so, has actually made me even more widely known. They're saying that no publicity is bad publicity, right? And that happens to be true in this case. And also what's fortunate is that Liberians knowing our politics, Liberians knowing how the system works, they also understand that, this is all political. And so we have not been slowed down. It's been a bit of a distraction. And if I didn't say that, that would not be true. But in terms of the momentum, in terms of name recognition, the trial has only helped us. And in some ways, some Liberians feel, well, the man finally earning his stripes, if you will. So we feel good about where we are. We feel good about the momentum, but we also know we got to do even more. And we are determined, to increase the level of energy and excitement and continue to reach out to Liberians to make our case to them so that come 2023 October, they will select us to serve them as their leader.
Okay, so before I get to my colleagues here, you talk about unification, the celebration of the Unification Day in Liberia, May 14. And what does that mean to you? And especially in the midst of all these political fight and infighting and whatever's going on in Liberia, what does that mean to you? And what it should mean for all Liberians?
Yeah, so, as I mentioned, we don't make many of the choices that we use to, differentiate ourselves, to disunify us, if you will. Those As I mentioned, we don't choose when we're born. We don't choose our gender. We don't choose our tribe. We don't choose the religion we're born into. Yet we use those things to divide us. And so for me, it means that we have to, take action, deliberate actions to do away with those divisions. And the kinds of things we need to do, and I will explain why and how they are connected to unification, is the first thing we got to do that will help unify us is we have to grow the economy, to grow the economic pie or grow this bowl of rice. And if you give me about 90 seconds here, 120 seconds, let me explain what that means. We all eat from this bowl of rice, or maybe you eat fufu or GB or doma, whatever you eat, right? If that bowl of rice is growing and every Liberian believes and actually have a right to put their hand in that bowl of rice, it will help with the divisions. Because what happens now when the bowl of rice is not growing or is getting smaller, it's human nature that you first of all protect yourself, then your family, then your tribe, and so on and so forth. If we're growing the economy, if we're creating jobs, if we're paying people a living wage, and they know that their children and their brothers and their cousins and their tribes and everybody have a right to participate in that, many of these divisions will fall away. Because now you're not worried about whether the person, your fellow Christian or your fellow Muslim or your fellow Gribble, Crown, Gio, you're not worried about that because the bowl of rice is growing. There are opportunities for everybody. And if we begin to do that, it will help to unify us as a people and as a country. There are only two things I say that should limit how much of that rice you can eat. And those two things you control as an individual. One is you got to follow the rules. You got to obey the laws. But you control whether you do that or not. And then the second constraint is, how hard you work. If you're lazy, you will not eat much of the rice. If you're strong and industrious, you will eat more. But those two things are up to you. So if we can grow the economy, if we can create opportunities, we can create jobs, that will begin to help to unify the country, because then we're not worried about protecting ourselves, our family, etc., because we know everybody has access. And the only limitation is up to you as an individual. But beyond that, we have to be deliberate in forgiving each other and in not using, again, all of these differences to separate ourselves. And I want Liberians to think about that. Remember that nobody's going anywhere. We're in this 43,000 square miles together. And unless we prepare to work together, our country will not grow and develop.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. If you are just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, this is SKTV. We are also on True FM 96.1 in Liberia. If you're listening to us via the radio, we want to say welcome to this conversation this afternoon. Telvi would like to turn it over to you really quick for your questions.
Okay. All right. Before I go into my questions, Mr. Cummings, I saw a picture of you and your mother a few months ago. So how is she doing? Beautiful pictures, actually. How is she doing?
Thank you, Telvi. Mommy is doing well. My mother is doing well. She will be 94 years old this August. So we are very blessed to have her still with us. Yes. And she's doing okay. She's in, a rehab center. And every chance I get, Telvi, I try to go and see her because, at that age, right, you're living on grace, right? Yeah. Right. And let me also say, thanks for asking. I give credit, first of all, to God for where I am, but then to my parents, mother and father, but particularly my mother, for where I am. She was tough on me for the right reasons. And she prayed for me a lot. And so thanks for the opportunity to acknowledge her on this call. Thank you.
So, obviously you've been in the news, you referenced it as it relates to CPP, but I want to shift a little bit. For that child that's listening, or even our viewers, who is Mr. Cummings? How? Tell us about your success story. How did you come to the U.S.? Was it somebody sent for you? Was it government scholarship? What school, high school, or college did you graduate from? How did you move from this college board to corporate executive, and I believe now retirement. So on a high level, just I'd like to know. So can you tell us?
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you, Telvi. Yeah, look, I was born in Monrovia. My family's on my father's side is from Maryland, from the Gribble tribe. So he was born in Maryland, in Harper. He came to Monrovia to live with an elder sister. He was a ward. But I was born here in Monrovia. I grew up in Point Four, Bushra Island. And we moved from there to Fiamma. I went to a demonstration school, government school on Clay Street. Then I went to CABA for high school. Then I actually went to Cuttington for a year and a half of university. And then I finished my undergraduate school in the U.S. I came back to Liberia and worked at the LBDI as an analyst. Returned to graduate school, and then I wanted to get some work experience. And in that process, the war broke out, made it difficult to return. And I had very successful, business career, but never forgot Liberia, never forgot my roots, never forgot childhood friends, never forgot the fact that I grew up in Point Four with those challenges there in Fiamma. And but what I say to many young Liberians is that hard work and discipline pays off. Hard work and discipline pays off. And so was blessed to have to be a very disciplined person, to work very hard. Blessed to have a wonderful family. My wife Teresa and I have been married for 40 years. We have two young adult children, Ayo and Boy Kai. We have 4 biological grandchildren and 1 adopted grandson. So a very blessed life. And I am eternally grateful to all the people who impacted me along the way, friends, relatives, mentors. And this is what an example I want to offer to our country and our people is where we level the playing field, where everybody again have access to the bowl of rice, where we are growing this bowl of rice, but where hard work, discipline, industriousness will allow you to eat more of the rice and be successful. And I think I'm a good example to our country and our people of what hard work and discipline can do. In terms of coming to the United States, I was able to get, a scholarship for my undergraduate studies. And then for graduate school, I actually worked and went to school at the same time to help fund it. My parents helped to supplement it as well. So it was all the combination of that allowed me to, come to the United States or go to the United States to get this education, and then have a very successful, business corporate career. Tell me, my last job at Coca-Cola, I was the number 2 executive for this very big global company that is in over 200 countries around the world. And for a Liberian boy, grew up in Point Four, Fiamma, went to CBA, to reach that far, it's a combination of blessings, hard work, and discipline. It wasn't my father's company, my mother's company, no brothers, sisters. It was just hard work, discipline, delivering. And this is what we can and must do for Liberia, is this discipline and it's hard work. And building teams and bringing folks around you and people who would disagree with you, who would push you. Because I think that's what we need in Liberia to develop our country. So thanks for the opportunity to share my story.
Beautiful story. I think it should be shared more often, not only political season. Very beautiful story. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's go to some hot topics here. Let's talk about the free word document a little bit from a point where what's out there. At least it is my understanding that the document was submitted to NEC twice. So can you help us understand why it was submitted twice? Talk about the signatories to that document, were they authorized signatories? were the other parties involved? I mean, your colleagues. Just walk us through the process. What happened there?
Yeah, sure. So let me first of all start by saying that this framework document that they allege we altered is a document, Telvi, Sekou, and Steve, that we operated under for almost 18 months. We went to an election in December 2020. The CPP won senatorial seats under this exact document. There were no issues raised at all for all this period of time. It was only as we began to approach the selection of the standard bearer of the CPP, and then all of a sudden, people found problems with this framework document. So I find it, and Liberians should find it, and all of you should find it sort of amazing or strange that people operated a document. I don't know, they didn't read it, whatever. That should say something about them if they didn't read it. But again, went to elections, got it certified, and nobody raised any issue. As we were approaching the selection of the standard bearer of the CPP, first they wanted this block voting idea, which was killed because it made no sense. And when that didn't work, then they came up with this forged document situation. The other thing I will mention, and I will answer your question specifically about submission twice because it wasn't submitted twice. But the other thing to mention is that allegations of quote unquote fraud are normally what they call documentary evidence, and you can go through documents, the documents, and you can establish whether there was fraud or not. And the fact that we're into this trial, we're in the 5th month. Tell me, this is a 26-page document. This is not very complicated, right? And yet we're in the 5th month and still no real proof because there isn't. I will also remind people, your audience, and all of you that the allegation is that there's, and you should read the allegation. It's very simple. There's one particular clause that is around the withdrawal, the ability to leave the CPP or not. And that's the clause they say we altered. But you don't alter documents unless it benefits you personally. You don't alter for alter's sake. So there's nothing in the clause that gives me any advantage, or the ANC any advantage over anybody else. We have the same constraints. The clause says if you leave the CPP, you cannot contest in the 2023 election under the banner of your party. That applies to the ANC and Alexander Cummings. It applies to the other 3 political parties. We are not excluded for that. So what in there we choose to advantage us, is yet to be explained. The other thing to mention is the idea of the signature page. They threw that out there. You know why it's not actually in the charge? Because it's not true. The page we signed by Zoom because they were during the COVID time. The order of signature was different. When we first started this conversation, the CPP, it went by the size of the party. Unity Party was the biggest party, then Liberty Party, then the ANC, then the ALP. That was the order of signature page we signed. What was filed with the NEC had a different order because we agreed then afterwards we want to do it alphabetically. So all through the document, whenever the political parties are mentioned, it starts with the ALP, ANC, LP, and the Unity Party. And it was that order of signature that was filed with the National Elections Commission. So again, they threw the noise out there. You look at the facts, it didn't support it. It is not in the allegation that we're being charged with. And then lastly, on the filing twice, the documents were not filed twice. The document was filed, I believe, on June 10th. Mm-hmm. It should have been notarized at the time. It wasn't. And the NEC called the secretariat of the CPP and said, look, you need to come and notarize the document. And that was done. And so there was no filing twice or submitted twice. That's exactly what happened. But that has nothing to do with the allegation. So if you read the allegation, that's nothing to do with that. So they're making it up as they go. They're struggling with 5 months into the trial, and there's nothing conclusive. The other thing I remind you again, though, is that the Solicitor General, this is public, right, claims that he quashed the allegations. Ms. Cephas, Serena Cephas, he claimed that Musa Dean, the Minister of Justice, reinstated it. The Minister of Justice, who were 4 months into the trial, came up with a statement. You all saw it a few weeks ago, where he said he asked for evidence. And I don't know if it's been submitted yet or not. But again, this is where, you know, the executive branch is making a mockery of the judicial system. They are bringing disrepute and embarrassment to Liberia. Because when you have the Minister of Justice, Musa Dean, the Solicitor General, in the public debating what is a misdemeanor, we should be worried as a country, as a people. Then we should know there's nothing to this, that is all political. When the two top justice officials, and this is not because they're putting pressure on the judiciary, they're weaponizing the judiciary. This is a misdemeanor. Normally, a misdemeanor is prosecuted by what they call a city solicitor. It should normally take about 30 days. And we're 4 months into this, Telvi. So this thing is bogus, is made up, is political persecution. And if facts will prevail, we will show the facts when it's our time to present the evidence. And so we're very confident of the outcome of this bogus trial.
Thank you. Quick, guys, just to follow up to that, Mr. Cummings, did you see the document prior to submission?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So we saw the documents prior to submission, as did all the other political leaders. So the other point, Telvi, part of the evidence that the prosecution, so I'm not a lawyer, I don't know if you are, but in criminal cases, the prosecution is supposed to present the evidence to the accused. It happens in the US as well. It's called a discovery process. So all the evidence they have against you, the theory of your case, because you're innocent until proven guilty, they have to present the evidence to you and to the court. They presented the evidence. In the evidence they presented, they had the chat room of the CPP National Advisory Council, the entire chat room, all the conversations. They deliberately extracted 2 weeks worth of conversations in the chat room. The prosecution did this. They actually admitted that they did this in the court records. They said it was a mistake. It was adverted. Tell me, it showed where we had sent the revised framework document that the lawyers had revised. It was in there to all our colleagues. Many of them acknowledged receipt of it. In that 2-week period, we put the timetable for the approval process, because remember, we were trying to field candidates to contest. So there was a deadline for certifying the CPP and then certifying our candidates. And so all of that was in the chat room. But again, they didn't submit it into evidence. Unfortunately, we also had access to the chat room, and that will be put into evidence. So these are all of the facts. So we all saw it. We all read it. And then lastly, in case you don't get to it, more recently, Martin Kola, Momo Samala, and others talked about this kind of core group, that this actual clause was inserted to actually trap me, as opposed to the other way around, because there was an assumption that the former vice president will automatically become the standard bearer of the CPP, and that way I won't be able to leave and run. There was an assumption I would run on my own, but I had no intention to leave the CPP. In fact, the Liberty Party and the ANC are the only two parties still in the CPP. The other two have announced their intentions to leave. So there was all of this conspiracy happening. Don't take my word for it. They were on air. You can reach out to them and call them. And so this is all bogus. Yes, we document as all of our colleagues on the National Advisory Council.
Thank you. What do you, Steve?
Thank you, Telvi. Good to have you back on SKTV, Mr. Cummings. I'd like to just piggyback on something Tel started off here before I ask my 2 questions. I'd like to know how is your family and you coping with this entire court case in Halu Balu, and how, especially in terms of the I want you to use the word disrespect, dishonoring. Most recently we saw a tape of group of young men and women, shouting "rule, rule," and trying to come around you. How is your family and your children, partners, loved ones, supporters? How are they handling this particular issue? And how are you handling it as well?
Yeah, again, I want to thank all of you for asking these, personal questions, because sometimes people forget that, being the public eye, being politicians, we're also human as well. So Steve, thanks for that question. But look, the family is handling it well. And let me tell you why. The family and friends and partners, they know my value, my integrity. Um, and so none of the people who know me well, who are close to me, have any doubts about my values and my integrity. And they know this is all political and is all bogus. And so, what is my wife, Teresa, my children, my siblings, my mother, they all get it. They know this is unfortunately, politics. It has been a bit of a distraction, yes. And if I didn't say so, I would not be telling the truth. Um, every now and then does it bother me that we're wasting all of this time and resources of the government. Steve, this case is a misdemeanor. It's being tried at a magisterial level. Should have been disposed of in 30 days. It's a simple 26-page document. The evidence is either way is not complicated to figure out, right? But all of the resources, the Solicitor General himself, the other two lawyers they got there, all the time, it's a waste. This is not good for Liberia. And for me, that's more the bother. It's not about me personally. I will be okay. I am okay, right? But, the rape, sexual-based violence, people getting killed, and there's all this insecurity in Liberia. That's where the Ministry of Justice should be focused. As a political institution, we should have solved this politically. I met with some, foreign ambassadors in the last several weeks, and they all expressed dismay that what is a political issue is now in the courts. And, they were saying, look, you are supposed to be in opposition, and you got the government in your business. Are you really serious about being opposition, right? So I'm bothered about that, but the family as well. Friends, our partners all know and understand that, this is all bogus, and we're doing okay. These things just make me more tough, more resilient, and actually more determined to make my case to Liberian people.
Thank you. Normally in Liberia and around the world would say, let's talk about the bread and butter issues. So I want to talk about the bread and butter issues, as we say. I want to go away from the CPP or whatever halu-balu you got going on. I want to talk about the bread and butter issues here. According to the IMF, which is mostly referenced or referred to in Liberia, there's an article that came on a report. It just came up. And I want to read this to you because this is part of the bread and butter issues. Quote, beyond 2023, global growth is forecast to decline to about 3.3% over the medium term. War-induced commodity price increase and broadening price pressure have led to 2022 inflation projecting of 5.7% in advanced economies and 8.7% emerging market and developing economies, 1.8 and 2.8% points higher than projected last January. Basically, this is talking about inflation, and we as a nation, whether we like it or not, in as much as it's global, we would be impacted directly and indirectly. How does the Cummings administration address these projected issues for 2022, 2023, and going on forward? What do you say?
Yeah. So first of all, And this is my area, so thank you for kind of shifting to the economy and what's happening there. But first of all, I need to just provide a little bit of context. And as always, I like to be fair and balanced in my criticisms, if you will, of President Weah and his government. So there's no question that first the COVID pandemic had an impact on the economy, global economy, including the economy in Liberia. Check, it has some impact, and we should not acknowledge that. And this Ukrainian crisis will also have an impact on global growth or decline. It will have impact on inflation, and it's going to impact Liberia. So we got to acknowledge that. And it makes the job of any president tougher. But I would argue that even prior to the COVID crisis and now the upcoming Russia-Ukrainian crisis, our economy was a laggard in the region. And I will give you some facts, right? So when the president made his State of the Nation address, he probably said the economy was projected to grow 3.5, 3.6%, somewhere in that range. I'm close. But then you look at the Sierra Leone economy, which is bigger, and it was projected to grow even faster, almost 5%, 4 point something. You look at the Ivory Coast, I'm talking the Mana River Union now, which is a much bigger economy, was projected to grow almost 7%, right? And you look at Guinea, and I think it was 5 point something percent. I'm going to be in the ballpark. But the fact is, all three of those countries with bigger economies were projected to go much faster than we were. And by the way, everybody, all of us suffered the same COVID, and now coming up the crisis with the Ukraine. So it just says to you that this government has not been managing our economy relative to our neighbors in the sub-region. So that's one fact to get on the table. But in terms of the way forward, in terms of what needs to be done, one is we will need to, tighten our belts. And that means we need to cut off all wasteful spending. Any spending that is unnecessary, we need to reduce. I keep coming back to this stealing, this corruption, because, and I will tell you what we do with the savings, the money we get from doing these things. So we got to reduce any unnecessary expenditure, anything discretionary. And then we got to stop the corruption. Corruption, makes it sound nice. We got to stop the stealing. We got to plug the holes in the leaky bucket. And we got to take the savings from discretionary spending, from the stealing, and we have to invest it back into things that will be more productive. We got to invest it into things that will reduce the burden on our people. So, for example, we need to think about how we can use those savings to pay our teachers, our police officers, our military people, our healthcare workers, pay them a little bit more money to cope with the inflation. Steve, if we pay everybody a little bit more money around the country, that by definition will provide economic stimulus, as opposed to a few people stealing the money and keeping it for themselves, in their safes, in their house, under their beds, or in bank accounts. Just reducing discretionary spending, stopping the stealing, and reinvesting in paying people a little money to cope with inflation is something we need to think about and consider. We need to look at, taxes on essential goods and services. And again, find the monies from elsewhere to make sure we're reducing those taxes so we can help with inflation and reduce the burden on our people. So these are some of the things we're going to have to do to hopefully temporarily reduce the burden on the average Liberian. And this is what, a Cummings administration will do. And then also find means to invest in things like agriculture, so we can start thinking about the long term. Every crisis is an opportunity. And so, and how do we, for example, find other sources of income? I keep talking about how do we develop ecotourism. And I use the word eco because we don't have the infrastructure for 5-star nice big hotels. But we got Patawi Falls, we got 350 miles of beaches, and we can start small and try to attract tourism. It will help create jobs. It will provide another source of foreign exchange. And these are the kinds of things we need to be doing to help grow the economy and take the pressure off our people.
Thank you. In sticking with the issues of bread and butter, as we say in Liberia or as Liberians, your counterpart Joseph Yuman Boakai, and for the record, I do follow. I'm either friends with some of the politicians, or I do follow you guys, and I'm following you. One of the things Joseph Yuman Boakai asserts is the word arts. At the very end, he talks about sanitation. Interestingly, you posted something on your Facebook page here, your official Facebook page, which I follow as well. And I'd like to pull out this section for them to read it for the public and ask you a question, because we believe here on SKTV that sanitation plays a role in whether the bread and butter issue or the health of our people. So let me read this. Quote, finally, Honourable President, we are already regarded as amongst the most corrupt and poorest in the world. Liberia has again been named the dirtiest country in Africa. Now, you reference the environmental performance index or perception index, the EPI. Now, here's my question to you. We have been affected with Ebola. Africa seems to be one of the places with malaria and so forth. Considering Liberia being referred as one of the dirtiest countries around the world, especially the city of Monrovia, some of the ambassadors, some of foreign dignitaries have also pointed out to this fact. How does the administration of Mr. Cummings tackle this issue of dirt in the country or sanitation?
Yeah. So, anybody who has been to Liberia lately, particularly Montserrat, our capital, because the degree of sanitation challenges sort of varies around the country. But Steve, anybody who has been to Liberia lately, you see the piles of
as well
dirt.
as the protection of human rights defenders during national elections.
Here we go. You see the piles of dirt all around our capital city and Montserrat at large. And so the index we mentioned in our post was just validation of the fact that sanitation is a problem in Liberia. It just validates, but we see it, we live it, we feel it. And I just want to emphasize that it's just a fact, whether you agree with the data or not. But how do we tackle this issue? And again, you got to do it holistically, right? First of all, we have to make sure that we tackle it end-to-end, meaning starting with landfill. Where are we going to put the dirt? Who is going to pick up the trash? How are we going to have places for people to put their trash? How do we encourage Liberians not to just throw their trash everywhere? We got to think about privatizing this process as well. So there are multiple steps we need to take, but we have to be intentional. We have to be deliberate. If we want to tackle this issue, we have to acknowledge that the issue exists, and we have to look at it end to end. The plastics issue, for example, we have to think about how we can do recycling of plastics, because it piles the trash, it affects the environment, it affects the oceans and the rivers and the lakes. So again, we got to look at it holistically, but we got to acknowledge the fact that dirt and sanitation is an issue. And then we got to look at all of the elements, from picking up the trash to disposing of it, to creating landfills, to encouraging Liberians to be responsible about their trash. We got to look at it holistically and then begin to tackle the problem on a consistent basis. The sanitation issue has also gotten worse, Steve, since this government came to power. You know, it wasn't perfect before, but it's gotten even worse now. And again, it's just another example of the level of incompetence and ineptitude of the we-are-led administration.
Yes, just before Mr. Kane comes in, I just wanted to do a quick follow up on something. I want to bring this issue of the economy to the Bela Boss seller, the Yana boys, the water sellers, and so forth. I want to bring it up to the maybe down to the level or so forth. What is the plan of Mr. Cummings amidst this projection of maybe the global economy for 2023 projectedly could decline? What are some of the plans of Mr. Cummings to ensure that our Oman can still sell the cassava leaf, they can still sell the plantain or the pepper, they can still sell it on the market? What is the plan to alleviate some of these economic pressures and so forth?
So, Steve, it ties to the point I made about finding the money and resources to pay our people a bit more so that they can afford the higher prices, so that they can afford to buy more bitter ball rather than maybe only having one meal a day. They will be able to afford to have a second meal. That will impact the bitter ball seller, the okra, the pepper seller, and so on and so forth. So by finding ways and means to put more money into the pockets of average Liberians is how you alleviate some of the pressure that the macroeconomic environment globally is going to have on our country and our people.
Thank you. Mr. Kane, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Mr. Cummings, once again, welcome back to SKTV. And for those of you who just joining, this is SKTV coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona, with our colleague in Texas, Dallas, Texas. Is it Austin or Fort Worth, Texas? I would say Fort Worth, Texas. That's Dallas area anyway. But those of you watching us on Facebook, wants to welcome. And I think on the radio, they were doing some local broadcasting. I don't know what's going on, but let's see if we can bring them back on. Melbourne, can you hear us? Just give me a finger, thumbs up if you can hear us. Because Mr. Cummings, let me say once again, thank you for having this conversation with us. Steve was talking about bread and butter issue. I'm going back to politics because politics, that's what I like. And bread and butter issue are important. But before you can even be able to carry on those bread and butter issues, you must first of all be elected first before you can be able to help the Liberian people. So it's important that we ask some relevant questions in that area. So somebody will argue that the reason for this so-called trial or Trump-up trial is to stall, distract, maybe discourage the momentum that you had before this trial started. And also to enable the government to decide as to how you can move politically in Liberia. Do you think they have been successful in doing that?
No, but first of all, Peku, I think that was part of the intent. I think that was part of the reason why, normally when an allegation of this nature is made, the government would first investigate, to determine whether the allegations were true, whether there was any veracity to the allegations. And I would say to you, I don't believe that. I know that work didn't take place. That's why, and the reason why I can say that, right? That's why 4 months into the trial, the Solicitor General and the Minister of Justice are publicly feuding about the evidence, right? So we know they didn't investigate. And because it was their intent, as you rightly say, Siku, to try to slow us down. I would also argue, I would go further and say they are trying to use the judiciary, to weaponize the judiciary, to determine who they're going to run against, to try to keep me off the ballot. And so that was the intent. But, surprise, 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 they've got me even more determined now to, fight this fight, if you will. They've made me even more popular than they probably thought they would. In some ways, maybe you use the Ukrainian-Russian situation where, Putin, miscalculated. Now the West is even more united than it was. You got Finland and Sweden joining NATO. And so maybe as a good analogy for what's happening now. So, look, has it been a bit of a distraction? Yes, it could. For the first few, weeks there, they just, slow us down a bit. Yes, if I came here and say it didn't do any of that, that would not be true. But am I more determined than I was before? Absolutely yes. Are we still, getting out and making our case to Liberian people? Absolutely yes. So is backfire? Are we more popular? Is the Cummings name more well known around the country than it was even before? The answer is absolutely yes. So it's backfire. We're more determined, and we will make the evidence that we're innocent so clear to the Liberian people that it will make it difficult for no matter what pressure they put on judiciary for them to come up with any other conclusion than that we're innocent.
Okay, so let me go to the CPP in the Lofa by-election. Chairman Musa Belete was here the other day. We asked him about it, and I believe the issue of the exit clause stopping the other party from feeding Kennedy in Lofa. I think the TPP is on good. I would say CPP is right, on that. But if you are stopping other people, or if they document CPP documents stopping other people who left the CPP from feeding Kennedy in the by-election, why is this CPP is not feeding Kennedy? Why stop other people when you are not feeding anybody? Is it somebody trying to pave the way for the CDC candidate or other candidate to win the election? Because you stopping Unity Party from feeding Kennedy, you are not feeding Kennedy. What are you doing? Are you trying to give advantage to the CDC or the party? And what's going on? Or are you, as CPP, going to feed Kennedy in Lofa County?
So, Sekou, I want to make a distinction here, and please, it won't take long.
That's fine.
Steve and Delby. So, because words matter, we are not, and this will sound crazy when I first say it, but hear me out. We are not, our intent is not to stop Unity Party from fielding a candidate. The result of our action is that, but we are saying to the UP that you need to live by the agreement, by the contract you signed. The contract we signed, we came together, freedom of association. We signed the framework document, framework agreement. That agreement, that contract says if you leave the CPP, you cannot field a candidate. We're saying you need to live by that commitment. You sign an agreement, and because rule of law is important, contracts are important. If you want investors to come to our country, right, they gotta be sure that when they reach an agreement with Liberian, that agreement can be enforced. And this is our focus. It's a nuanced distinction, but the result of forcing them to that contract is that they cannot field a candidate. I don't know if I'm making sense of that distinction. But the reason why we're not putting up a candidate, though, is because we believe the CPP won that seat. That Brownie Samakai, the CPP candidate, who happened to have been from the Unity Party, was our candidate, and he won that seat. And we believe he should have been seated. And almost as a mark of protest, we're not going to put it because we think he's our candidate. He's the CPP candidate. And we want to say to the government, to others, that we think he should have been seated. and therefore we're not going to put, as a CPP, we're not going to put a candidate in Lofa. And that Lofans will decide, without branding in the race, who they want to represent them. But it's not because we're endorsing the. I don't believe CDC has a candidate, by the way. I think other smaller parties and independents are running. I do not believe anybody is running on the CDC ticket in Lofa. I stand to be corrected, Sekou. So the only independents and I think other smaller party candidates who are running in Lofa. But we had a candidate. We won that seat. That seat was denied us, and we're not going to put a candidate up in this by-election.
Yeah. Arguably, you won a seat as a CPP, but after the seat was declared vacant by the Liberal Senate, it means that election is, that Bernie Samuka's election is no longer valid. So why don't you put somebody there, another candidate of the CPP, if CPP really contender to be a contender in the coming elections in Liberia? Why don't you field a candidate in Lofa? Because the candidate that was elected is not being declared or been declared vacant. That means that opens the door for another candidate to go and run. So why don't you field candidate?
No, I mean, look, Sekou, I've answered the question, meaning we were deliberate in saying that we won that seat. We believe our candidate should have, taken that seat. He has been denied that seat. We think unfairly, and therefore, as a matter of principle, we decided we're not going to put a candidate.
So you're giving up. So you're giving up on Lofa in terms of Senate.
No, look, it's a matter of principle here. That we won that seat. Our candidate should have been seated. He wasn't seated, and we're not going to put a candidate in this particular by-election.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to the quote, and because if this is an intent to stall the progress you are making, and we have no end game in sight as to when this will end, and I believe many people argue that the intention is to make sure that you do not go on the ballot. And if this thing goes on up to the end of this year, 2022, the ramification will be very high on you negatively, because it will have a lot of destruction, a lot of problems for you. So assuming that the government intention, which is by and large clear for now, is to stop you from running, what do you do? If they have no end in sight as to when this will end, they'll keep dragging up to the next election. What are the chances of you winning anything if you're not even free to do what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, look, Sekou, that will not happen. Let me tell you why I'm confident it will not happen. Because the Liberian people will not sit and let that happen. We are going to progressively make the evidence public. There's the court of law, and then there's the court of public opinion. And we will win in the court of public opinion. It will be clear to Liberian people. And if President Weah, Prime Minister McGill, and all his folks, if they want any credibility with the Liberian people, the evidence will be so clear that this court case will end. I'm not going to tell you it will end next week or the week after. I don't know, but it will end because the evidence will be so clear. One of the reasons why I think this, we commissioned an independent investigation, independent forensic investigation, is again to get another set of eyes, to get forensic experts to look at the facts, to look at the evidence, and share with the Liberian people and share with the international community that this is bogus. As I mentioned earlier, Sekou, this is not complicated. That's why it's a misdemeanor. I don't know if people understand that the magisterial level is the lowest level of litigation in our country. And normally misdemeanors are adjudicated, guilt or innocent within about a 30-day period. We into the 5th month, right? So we're going to be much more aggressive in getting the facts out, so Liberians understand this. I mentioned the dispute between the Minister of Justice Musadin and the Solicitor General Serena Sifas. That's in the public domain, and we will increase the public pressure on the government to bring an end to this. Again, the fact would be so glaring, and they're being unfair to the judiciary as well. That's why I said the executive branch is weaponizing the judicial branch of the government, putting pressure on them. But I think the facts will give them the courage to also prevail and say this thing at the end. It's not good for the country. It's not good for the justice system. It's not good for the judicial branch. And so that's why I can speak confidently and say I will be on the ballot. If President Weah is so confident he will win, right, he should not be afraid of competition, because it would taint his victory. If he wins, he won't win, by the way, but it would taint his victory if Cummings is now on the ballot. And I think, look, they're smarter. They're smart politically, if nothing else. And that's why I think the Liberian people, the pressure from our people, will ensure that this case ends within a reasonable period of time.
So so I'll give you this question, and then we'll go to Tel and Steve for a couple more questions. Then we will open the line to our audience. The issue of this court thing being an impediment for you and to the government, also government wasteful spending for the government. Some people are saying that the government is afraid of the government prosecutions. They are afraid to end this thing because of the fear of being counter-sued. They don't know how to end it. Are you going to sue them if this case go nowhere? Because that's the fear. Maybe the fear, afraid. If we just end this thing, we no hate. We say no hate, no take. We no hate, no take. Then what's going to happen? The company is going to counter-sue us, or company is going to counter-sue Yuri, Boakai, and other people. Are you, going to sue the people if they provide no evidence and this case just end that kind of way, some kind of way, no here, no there, and then what happened next? Are you going to move on to speak to the Liberian people on real issues, or you're going to waste your time? I would call it waste of time. I don't know how other people will look at it, to go and counter-sue the government or the people that sue you, in an attempt to clear your name or to somehow regain some of the image that been destroyed by some people, because majority of people believe this is all something made up. But there are certain people that don't know. They think Mr. Cummings, get some fraudulent implication in this whole thing. So what are you going to do? Let it go or sue them? Because somebody told me that is the fear. They don't know how to end it because they are afraid of you suing them.
So first of all, Sekou, one of the things that is going to happen in the next few days and weeks here, as I mentioned earlier, we will really start to put the evidence out and make it as clear and as simple as possible, so that in the minds of the Liberian people, the international community, our international partners, friends, it will be clear that there is no veracity to these allegations. We will start that process. This is why, as I mentioned, we commissioned an independent study. The wife of the former Prime Minister of Britain, when I first spoke to her, Sekou, Delby and Steve, she said to me, Mr. Cummings, you need to be clear that I'm not going to put my reputation and by extension, my husband's reputation on the line to cover up for a crime you did. She was very clear. She said, you better be careful and you got to be deliberate on asking us to come and do this investigation. And because I was so convinced of my innocence, we said, by all means, go ahead and do your work, and we'll make public the outcome of your work. And we send them all the information of what the prosecution provided, our information, quote-unquote investigative committee. As I said, this is not complicated. And as early as this week, we will probably get the report, because again, it's 26 days document. Forensic experts. This is quick. This is why it's baffling that this case has gone on for as long as it has. But in terms of consequences to others, what I would say is that's to be determined. I struggle with anybody doing what they've done and just somehow it just goes away. What I will say to you, Sekou, though, my focus will be on the Liberian people, on continuing to make my case to our country and our people. And the consequence to the folks that have done this to me is TBD, is to be determined. And I think I want to leave it at that. But the focus will be on moving forward, focusing on the Liberian people, making my case to the Liberian people. But I want to leave myself the option of deciding what to do. And it may be different things to different actors. We may not do the same thing to every actor, but I reserve the right to decide if and what we do for these spurious allegations against me.
All right. Tell us, Steve. If you guys have a few more questions, one or two questions, we can ask that and then we go to the line, because we are approaching the 1 hour 30 minutes. So we want to make sure at 1 hour 30 minutes. So let's give the 30 minutes to our audience, let them call in and ask their questions.
Just for the record, Sekou, I came on at 6, so I'm giving you the 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Yeah, but for you, we still have 30 minutes to go, correct?
Yeah, we do, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're good. We should be fine.
No, but I want to get some questions from the public too. So
yeah, exactly. So that's why I said they can ask one question and then we can move to the audience.
Okay.
Steve, you want to go or you want me to go first?
Go ahead, Tel.
Okay. So I want to talk about the case a little bit. I know you mentioned about the firms that you hired. The last time you were here, I asked you about the case and were you not concerned or you're not going to get a third party opinion on it. You said, and I'm paraphrasing, you wanted the case to just take a natural flow to the system. You don't want to be seen as you're tampering with anything. And it's quote unquote a learning experience for you. So I was kind of surprised when I woke up the morning of my birthday that Mr. Cummings hired not only one firm, but two firms, accounting firms, not accounting, for forensic firms. So I guess multiple questions there. Why two firms? I'm just curious to get my own understanding, just to get a clearer understanding. What is the scope of the work? And I'm hearing probably there's even third party there, Mr. Alan White. Just the scope of the work. Other than exonerating from the case, what are you trying to accomplish with this report? And if you want to prove your innocence, like you say you're innocent, you have maintained, then why not let the case run its natural death or natural course?
Right. So we gave you a surprise birthday present when we announced the investigation. So first of all, Alan White is not involved in this at all.
Okay.
Just for the record, just to make that clear. But the two firms work together. So one, Mrs. Blair's firm, it's called Omnia. They are lawyers. They're mostly on the legal side. And they have worked with this other firm, Alico, who are more the forensic sort of experts, forensic document experts. And so they kind of came as a pair, if you will. So although they're two different firms, it's kind of a package deal. They kind of work together. But the reason why it became necessary, Telvi, is, as I mentioned earlier, fraud cases, particularly misdemeanor fraud cases. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but it's kind of evidentiary. You look at the evidence, you look at the facts, and it can be decided, it can be determined fairly quickly. And our hope was that this would happen quickly. The prosecution will present the evidence, will present ours, the judge will take a look at it, and it will be clear. But this has dragged on in the 5th month. Then we saw the sort of prosecutorial misconduct where the prosecution extracted evidence, withheld evidence, clearly, illegal. There was no consequence for that. Then we saw the Minister of Justice, and the SP first in public for this relatively simple case. So all of that said to us, you know what? We cannot take this risk. We need to go and get an independent, third-party experts with the and let them look at the evidence and find and make it public to the world. And so all of these things I mentioned earlier, is the reason why we decided we wanted to get a third-party independent assessment of this. I also remind you, Tel, and others that unfortunately, and this is something we need to change, and something I'm determined to change if given the chance to serve our country, is that we tend to always run externally. We do. When the government was accused of the $25 million mop-up and the $16 billion printing, they ran to the Americans and they brought in Kroll and to investigate, right? More recently, when the NEC ruled in favor of the CPP with regards to the Lofa kind of senatorial elections, the Unity Party put posters out to the UN, to the various embassies around the country. And so while, as you know, and I said on this show, it wasn't my preference to do that, but given all of the noise and all of these discrepancies, we reluctantly decided, let's get a third-party independent assessment to come and find. And again, that will happen as early as this week or next week. And I think that will help move the process
along. Okay, so fair enough. Have you had a chance to look at the budget? The one that came out last week?
So we will be, good question. We will be in the next week or so, we will be offering our point of view on the budget. Not only what we're critical of, but what we would do different. And so if we can hold off for the next 5-7 working days here, we will have an official position on the budget.
And are you going to be coming to SKTV to discuss the budget as well? Because we have a lot of questions on that.
Okay, I will commit to come back on SKTV to discuss the budget. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, since you haven't talked about it, I'll hold off on that because I love to discuss the budget. We love to do that.
Yeah, we are running out of time to tell. So
yeah, I'll be done.
Let's go to Steve and then
I'll hold off. Yeah, I'll hold off on that.
And thank you for bringing the budget out, Tel.
So since we're thank you.
Since
we're out of time, I want to ask you this question. I'll stick with the bread and butter issue today as much as I can. Most recently, as of last August, Samora Wolokoli, who is the Deputy Minister for Fiscal Affairs, did tell the public and told the Liberian people in the world at large, that our current debt, outstanding debt, is 1.4 billion, almost 1.5, based on the figures here. Considering this will come back to haunt us as a nation, whether we like it or not, the next administration would have to face this fact. How do you intend to tackle this debt to alleviate some of the pressure and to also get us in good standing with our partners, our friends, so that we can borrow to help our people as well?
Yeah, so look, by definition, debt or leverage is not a bad thing if used well. So when you think about it, right, businesses, credit is important to grow businesses. You think about the market women, you talk about the bid up sellers. Macro credit, if you give people debt, they can grow their businesses better, faster. So debt by definition, even for a country, is not a bad thing if used wisely, if used appropriately, if invested in productive means so that you generate the money to pay the debt back. And unfortunately, what's happening with this government, with the amount of stealing that's taking place, the debt that is taking on will become, a burden on our country, on our economy. And so whoever replaces President Weah in January 2024 will be saddled with this debt, and we'll just have to deal with it. We have to manage. We have to pay it back. And what that means, though, Steve, is some of the things I mentioned earlier. We're going to have to reduce the stealing. We're going to have to reduce all discretionary spending. We're going to have to find other sources of income to grow the economy. We're going to have to make sure we're getting full value from our natural resources, that all the folks who are here today are giving us, we're getting fair value from our natural resources. So all of these things, excuse me, we'll have to do to pay down the debt and to minimize the need to borrow even more debt. But debt by definition is not a bad thing if used productively, if used well. But unfortunately, I don't think that's happening here. And that's just a challenge we'll have to take on when we assume the leadership of the country.
Thank you.
Right. So, folks, if you just joined on, this is SKTV coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. Now we're going to open the line. Telco, I needed that turn number. What I want to do first, let me ask my. Okay. Mr. Melbourne.
Yes. Is that?
Do you have a phone number to provide for? Let's take maybe 2 or 3 calls in Liberia before we go to the diaspora.
All right, no problem. Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
So
do that. Let's take maybe 2 or 3 calls in Liberia. Let's hear what they have to say.
All right.
If no one called, then that's fine. Then we can go to the diaspora.
All right, no problem. So it's 0770-2031-25. Again, 0770-203-125, and you'll be live on Truth FM with SKTV family. Yeah? If you have any question or maybe you want to say anything or something, you can place in your call 0770-203-125.
All right, so folks, also in the diaspora, if you have a question, go ahead and call Steve. So the calls are routing to you from the other line. And I have okay, you have a call? Go ahead. You have a call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good evening. All right. What's your name and where you joining us from? Okay, go ahead.
I very enjoy your mind, very focus. Don't be scared. Focus to be a student as well to behind the project. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your participation. So again, keep your calls coming. 0770-2031-25, and you'll be live on until with the SKTV family here. Truth FM 96.1 again 0770-203-125 2031-25, and you'll be live.
So we have some callers here as well. So what we're going to do, interrupt us anytime. If you have a call from Liberia, we will give them the priority since they are working on the data. Let's get a call.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. What's the name and where you joining us from?
I'm Reverend Amos Divine.
Okay, Reverend, go ahead.
Yes, well, I want to appreciate all this evening for Alexander Cummings, for that he has said. I want him to be focused, not to be deterred, no matter what. That everything will soon come to an end.
All right, thank you so much. So let me get to the lines. The lines are just Jimmy. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening. What's your name and where you joining us from?
My name is Jonathan Bynum. I call from Kingsville.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
hope you listen to me.
Who does he recognize as the political leader of the Liberty Party that he is in his seat to do with? I asked because recently the Supreme Court just said in Chima ruled that the document that the Liberty Party had at the election commission, which would have been withdrawn in 72 hours and be revisited, and that was because Yobigana and other filed the most affiliated person. So who does he recognize as the political leader of the Liberty Party? Thank you.
All right.
If you get more calls, I want you to take a couple more because I like to hear from people in Liberia.
All right. So no problem because the line is really changing. All right. So keep your calls coming. 0770 20 31 25. Yeah. Okay. The line is not
I know.
easy. Hello. Yeah. How you doing? What's your name and where you joining us from? Please, you gotta move away from the monitor, please.
Okay, are you getting me now?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
My name is Amos from Malakity County.
Okay. Go ahead, bro.
I want to specifically ask Mr. Cummings what actually convinced him that he thinks he can win this case concerning the alleged fraud that is now hanging over him. Is he not aware that perhaps his underman might have made some blunder, which to some extent might lead or implicate him, since in fact he was the head for the CPP during his rotational leadership.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So they got to the line.
One more call from Liberia.
Yeah. Hello. How you doing? What's your name? Where you joining us from?
They're not going to stop calling.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really want to ask Mr. Cummings. Mr. Bucket is on record saying that
The positive of the line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hold the call. Let's hold the call right there from Liberia. So let's get a couple of calls here. Let me go to the first caller here. The last 4 digit is 4226. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, thank you, brother Segu. This is Digra. My question will be in 2 phases. Honorable Cummings.
Okay, go ahead quickly.
Mr. Cummings, 2 political parties came together in Liberia to build a consensus for the betterment of the Republic of Liberia. During the fighting, as you said, there was 2 fighting for notarization. The 2, Mr. Cummings, call your 4 or 3 members that are in the collaboration to tell them we filed this document and the net call us again to file it. And my second question, Mr. Cummings, Liberty Party is in a disarray, and the court had ordered Liberty Party to present or to carry the original document itself on. And in doing that, Mr. Ability and Mr. Ability Liberty Party endorse you. Will you, Mr. Cummings, as a good man who came in this country and walk the ladder and climb up there, will you still do business with Mr. Ability and the other lady?
Thank you.
Power?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So let's take another Steve, unless you got a caller, but I got a lot of calls here. Let's take this caller here. Caller, what is your name and where you calling from? Last 4 digit is 0065.
Yes, Siku. My name is Abraham, and I'm calling from Delaware. Now, I got a quick question for Mr. Cummings.
Go ahead.
In the past, I also asked a question. I think it was on your platform. But my question here is this: I work in statistical programs with an entity of the U.S. government. My concern here is to change the infrastructure, the housing infrastructure in Liberia. Now, houses in Liberia, so I hope you give me just 1 minute, please. Let me explain this.
Go ahead quickly.
Okay, Monrovia, houses in Monrovia, do not have toilet, do not have this, and that's a major capital city. So if he were to become president of Liberia, I want you to give me, an email address or something where I can send my plan, my program, because I have a plan, it's in PowerPoint presentation how we can change Liberia from what it is now, the housing infrastructure in Liberia, from what it is now, to modernize it while using the private sector and then creating jobs through the private sector. So that's my concern, because we can change most of the housing infrastructure in Liberia while using the private sector, creating jobs, and then people paying taxes. And
I want you to learn if you can, please.
Okay. Is there an email address how I can present my program, my proposal to him? Is there an email address that we can present it? And look at it. Almost all, any and all of the aspirants for the Liberian presidency, because Liberia can be as it is.
All right, thank you.
Yes, for the 21st century.
Thank you, Oman. Thank you very much. Stu, do you have a caller? Okay, caller 612 with 3.
Yes, I have lots of callers here.
Okay. Like this will be the last call from this end, then we'll go to you. 3309. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sekou, and thanks to the panelists, and thank you, Mr. Cummings, for have the courage to always avail himself to us who are the voters, so we can be able to question his vision for Liberia. My name is Prince Williams, and I'm calling for Tennessee, the volunteer state.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Cummings, I know we spoke in confidence and somehow in public about this issue, but I still want to go ahead and press it in public again. Could you consider, or will you consider in establishing a Liberian gold reserve? All nations around the world have a gold reserve. We have our natural resources, which is gold. It's been exploited and exported out of the country. And we seem to not have a gold reserve, at least to keep that depletable resource, at least in our reserve, for posterity or for the backing of our national currency. Will you please consider in putting forth an idea to establish a Liberian national gold reserve? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so no more call for this line again, because a lot of calls still coming in. We will take no call from this end again. So Steve,
Yes. So very quick to the callers. 30 seconds at most.
Yeah.
Get to the point. Let's move on, please. Mr.
And I want to make sure
please.
we got more call in, and then we stop. Mr.
Yes, it will help us get more people on, please. So first caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please? You have 30 seconds to a minute.
Aliu Kamara calling from Maryland. Let me say welcome to Mr. Cummings to the SK TV show. Let me just, before I ask my question, 1 second, let me just express my disappointment with Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings, wonderful man, we're proud of you, but every time you come into these political issues and to answer these questions, you speak broadly, you speak with no specificity. Mr. Cummings, I want to bear a 6-lane highway from Vojama all the way to Maryland County. The question is, how am I going to do that? You have never been able to give us the actual answers. Mr. Cummings, you always say we do the same thing all the time, but then we expect the same results. We expect different results. You just said that we should stay away from these external things. Joseph Boga, United Party did it, the CDC government does it, and recently you've also gone all the way to London to hire people when your case is still in court. Mr. Cummings, don't you see this as a contradiction? I said, 1 minute, let me just ask this final question.
Go to your question, please.
Your opponents in the Senate case have made or want to make us believe by all account that because you were with Coca-Cola, because you acquired $100 million, and because you have achieved a whole lot for yourself, and therefore Liberia must compensate you by making you the president. Do you allude to this, to the message from your opponents?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Caller, which anyone you're calling from, please. You have 30 seconds to a minute. Let's get to the issues quick. Hello? Yes, caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my name is Quick Wesley. Very quickly, I had a question for Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings, in your first 100 days, if elected president, do you think Liberia would need some form of stimulus? Because after 6 years of George Weah, I don't know what the country would look like. And eventually you have to get in to see what's going on. But you think Liberians would need some form of stimulus, either rice or some kind of monetary compensation? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get to the next caller here really quick. Let's get to the next caller here. let's get to this caller.
I think two more callers will go to Mr. Cummings, Steve, because the calls are coming like non-stop. So with two more callers from you, they will go. Mr. Cummings, want to make sure we.
Yes, caller. Quick, you're on 30 seconds to a minute. Go to your point. Go to the point, please. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, thank you, Steve. This is one I think calling from Iowa.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I got a quick question from Mr. Cummings. I want to say hi to Mr. Cummings. Thank you so much. I listen to him. One of the things that caught my attention is that Mr. Cummings admitted that he see that the whole case is a distraction, which of course is case of distraction, and you can actually see that it is working. Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings, are we for the time that you guys
Get the best of me.
Picture. Look at the suffering of our people. Sit together and men to rescue our country. Mr. Cummings, are you willing to everything? Rise above the trouble river, cross the river, meet Joseph Burger at the unknown destination, sit together and men and talk about the future and think about the risk or what will happen if God forbid President Ray is off for another term. Mr. Cummings, please answer the question today. Let me hear you.
Thank you, Vanny.
Are you willing to cross the river and meet Mr.
Thank you.
Burger so you can sit together and talk like men for the sake of our country? Thank you.
Mr. Cummings, I beg you, one.
Yeah, one more. Go ahead. I got a lot of calls coming in, but we're not taking no more calls from this end. So just get one more. Because what happened, I want to make sure Mr. Cummings answer these questions within the next 9 minutes or so. So that way, after Mr. Cummings answer the questions and give his closing remarks, we will stay here maybe for another 10 or 20 minutes to entertain more calls from you guys and your reaction to this interview. So don't go away. Stick around.
I'm trying to get this caller on really quick.
Yeah, so if you're not getting the caller on there, we'll just take one more from here.
Yes, the caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
My name is Alex Fadiga. I'm calling from Minneapolis. How are you, Mr. Cummings? I'm sure you remember me. We were on a flight from Ghana to New York in January, and we met at the event in Minnesota. But my question here is, I'm one of those people that follow you, and I do believe that you're going to be the next president of Liberia. I've seen that vision, so that's prompted this question. What should we expect from Cummings' first 100 days in office as regard to corruption and create not going after, but making sure that I'll just leave it at that. What should we expect for your first 100 days?
Okay, what should we expect for your first 100 days? Thank you so much.
That's it.
Thank you. Do we take one more?
Right, so, no more. Because you know what? Calls are coming
I have a call here.
Okay. If so many people can reserve, their comment and concern, or after Mr. Cummings answer the questions, we can call back and then we can have a conversation about how you feel about the interview. But we don't want to keep the man here, for more than 2 hours. So Mr. Cummings,
Not tell me because you tell your own. You know I cannot take my place.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Go ahead, tell me.
Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Dr. Ishmael Habibrahim, and I'm calling from Germany.
Under 1 minute.
Okay. I want to ask Mr. Alexander Cummings. Is Mr. Alexander Cummings convinced the vision he has for Liberia? Is he convinced that the people that he has around him are dead confident or they have the same vision that Mr. Cummings has for the Liberian people? That's my question.
Okay, thank you.
You got one more?
No. I was supposed to call him back. I'm not doing it. It's okay. Let's move forward.
Okay. All right. I think Mr. Cummings played his food already. Mr. Cummings, please run through these questions and hopefully you can get it within the next couple of minutes to fit your time. If when you're done answering the question, please go ahead and make your closing remarks, and we will stay here. People stick around. We'll stay here to have the after interview, conversation. So Mr. Cummings, go ahead.
Right. So I will start from the last and then go back to the earlier callers. So the question about do I think the people around me share the same vision I do? The answer is yes, absolutely do. We're building a team, and we're still building a team, by the way. So anybody who's interested in coming to support us, we will welcome you. We're actually building what we call sector teams, people to focus on agriculture, people to focus on healthcare, people to focus on infrastructure, education, and so on and so forth. So we're building the team, we're identifying people. We have very broad vision and direction for where we want to go. And people who we ask to come and join us and help us are all committed to our vision for Liberia. So the caller can be reassured that that's the kind of team we're building, people who are committed to the vision we share for our country. Question on the 100-day plan. The 100-day plan, we have a variety of points. But the first thing I would say, Sekou Stephen and Telvi, is that, we will leave from the inauguration ceremony and we're going to go straight to work on the same day, because there will be so much work to do and to communicate to Liberian people that we're serious and that to change our country will require work and sacrifice. But some of the elements in the 100-day plan, I will talk about, on the corruption piece. We will ask the various integrity institutions, the LACC, the General Accounting Commission, all of to go and do an audit of what we're inheriting, so that, we're not going to tell them to go after any one individual. That's not the point. We'll let the evidence go where the evidence goes. But we'll make sure they're resourced, they have the right people, the right professionals, the resources they need, so we can go and audit what we're inheriting so Liberian people can know. We will declare our assets on day one so people will know, and everybody who works for us will do the same thing. But beyond that, the 100-day plan will announce a National Youth Service Program. We'll make sure something the president said he would do. I don't know if he has done it. I don't think he has. We'll make credit available for Liberian businesses and Liberian market women. We will begin to invest in agriculture right away on day one. So there's a 100-day plan we can share publicly. We've got it documented, but in the interest of time, those are some of the highlights from our 100-day plan. There's a question about, I made $100 million when I worked at Coca-Cola, and then somehow I want Liberian people to make me a president. Again, I don't know, that wasn't a question, that was a statement, in fact. All I'm doing is I'm making my case to Liberian people, and Liberians will decide who they want to serve them, who they want to lead them. Not every Liberian will support me, that is their choice. But we are determined to make our case, to provide our people an alternative, and it's up to them to make that call, and we'll live with the benefits or the consequences of the decision the Liberian people make. There was a question about housing and housing infrastructure. The caller is right. Housing can be a good source of generating jobs, providing, shelter for our people. He asked for a mailing address. Before we get off the call just now, I will get a mailing address that he can send some information to. But we welcome all thoughts and information on any of these topics, by the way. There was a question about the Liberty Party and Musability. There's been a lot of disinformation about what the Justice Nchima ruled with regard to the Liberty Party situation. These are the facts. The Liberty Party, as chaired by Musability, is the Liberty Party recognized by the National Elections Commission and the Liberty Party recognized by the Chima Justice. There's been no change in that. So that's the Liberty Party we're dealing with. They are our partners. They're still in the CPP with us. Musa and I have a good relationship. We still work together, as do other members of the Liberty Party, Martin Kola, the list goes on and on. But again, a lot of misinformation. Those are the facts with regards to the Liberty Party as I just described. There was a comment about 2 filings of the CPP document. That is not true. There was not 2 filings, and that has nothing to do with the allegations against me. Again, maybe it's a Unity Party or ALP talking point, but those are not the facts. There was only 1 filing. And again, those are just the facts. And then again, nothing to do with allegation against us. Question about the folks that work with me in the secretariat make any mistakes with regards to the framework agreement. They made no mistakes as regards to the allegations against us. The allegation is about this one clause. Is very direct, is very simple, and that's what we should focus on. And that clause was written and designed by the lawyers that we collectively asked to do. We reviewed it, we approved it, and that's the clause that is in the in the framework document. I think those are highlights of the questions that came, Sekou. So if I go to some closing comments, again, let me thank all of you for the opportunity to come and have this conversation. As we've agreed, we'll come back and talk about the budget on your show. We'll publish our observations, findings, recommendations, and then we'll come and we'll discuss it in detail. I also want to use the opportunity to congratulate Mariah. She just graduated from law school today, Yola University Law School. She has an LLM, a master's in law degree. Mariah is a very smart woman. Mariah, congratulations. We're all very, very proud of you. And then lastly, I just want to remind our people that we just celebrated Unification Day, and it is in the interest of all of us to remain united, to live as one people, and to come together to change our country. So with that, I want to thank all of you, and I look forward to a future conversation with SKTV.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cummings, and I want to say thank you to the folks in Liberia, Mr. Melbourne and the Truth FM family. I think we are also running out of time when it comes to the radio station. There, we have 2 hours time limit. Now we are 5 minutes over our time. Mr. Melbourne, do you have anything to say before we take a leave of you? Are you there?
He's on mute.
Oh, okay. I think he's muted. Hold on one second. Let's see here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I just want to say thanks to you guys. And yes, after all the bad weather, I think we were able to go through. And
Yeah.
hopefully on next Saturday, up to Sunday, by the grace of God. And I want to say thanks to the callers here too in Liberia for their participation.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Melbourne Kula. I want to say thank you very, very much for all you do for Liberia. And by the way, your birthday was the other day. I didn't get back to you because of time constraint. But what happened? I will call you. I will get back to you after the show. Okay.
All right,
happy birthday.
All right. Thank you so much. And yes, so have a very good time, all of you. Yes. Tavi, I don't know. You born May too, right?
I know another May born.
Yes. All right, folks. All right, so family, we're together. Hopefully next Saturday we'll be together again by the grace of God.
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
All right.
So, Steve, Terco, this was a big conversation because I heard a lot. But one thing that I want to shine light on is the issue of this allegation. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Mariah Kula for the achievement. She is little. She look like small, but she big. She looks small in body, but the brain is big, and she's very intelligent. I like her intelligence. Want to say congratulations to her. And congratulations to all the graduates. I've seen a lot of graduation lately. So congratulations to all the graduates. But, we want to go back to the conversation. So what I want to shine light on here, Tel and Steve, is that the idea of the issue of the allegation. Because, you can file the complaint against somebody, and a lot of other thing can come. People can spin a lot of different stuff, but mainly what's going to be considered is the one in the code document, in the document file. Mr. Cummings is saying the allegation is very simple and plain. It's about the exit clause. What we were made to know, to believe before, was that what's his name? Yura said his signature was affixed to something, without his consent. Then the second thing we heard was that Mr. Cummings took Mr. Cummings did not send the original document. It was a photocopy sent to NEC. Now we are hearing that the whole allegation is about the exit clause. And if that is the case, and the document is believed to be the one that was signed and agreed upon by all parties, Mr. Ure said on video that the work done by the lawyers, they gave the lawyers the authority to do so. And after the work, they review it, they accepted it. So if that is the document sent that also include that exit clause, and the lawyer came the road, they said all changes in substance, they are the one that made those changes. So that means if that is what it is, that means there's no case. If the allegation is only about the exit clause, because the allegation is that Mr. Cummings inserted that, and if that's not the case, and the lawyer, themselves said they were the one that made all those changes, that means there's no case. However, we look forward to getting more in it. But like Steve was talking about bread and butter, Mr. Cummings revealed a lot of different things today as to what he will do or what he can do. And on his closing statement, he said that's something too that I want to shine light on. He said that on day one, they will make available credit to market women, the business people. I don't know how, but that is a big deal. To say on day one, we'll make credit available, loan available to business people, specifically our mothers. I think that's a big deal. A lot of people who are listening, I think they will take that into serious consideration. And there may be other questions as to the how and when, but he said they won. So in the first 100 days, we will see that. So I think those are good things. But back to you guys before we can even open the line again to get some reaction from the interview.
Mr. Bowley, go for it. Go for it.
No, you. You go.
Well, I think overall, I'm willingly giving up my rights.
Go ahead.
I think it was a good show. Always, there's never enough time, but I think Mr. Cummings touched on a lot of things. The next time he's on here, hopefully we can go into detail specifics about his plan, 100-day plan or whatever plan, for the country. We can go into more national issues, like the passport issue, other things, and what his thoughts are and things like that. But I think overall was a good show. We touch on a lot. And we appreciate his time, giving all that's going on in the country, that he carved out some time to just come and speak to the Liberian people. We appreciate it.
All right, Steve.
Well, Mr. Conner, I think one of the things that we shouldn't waste our time on, in as much that some people might say it's important, it's this, it's that. If it's important, I had a conversation with Frank I think 2 days ago on Friday evening. We had a lengthy conversation, and I told this friend I don't do well with going in cycles. I like to be focused, concise, or precise. All this going in cycles, and if they sign a document on May 14 and they sign a document on May, June when they want. It's not important. Whether they signed a document 100 years ago, whether the document was blue or it was white or it was yellow, bring the document, let's look into it. If whatever was written is not there, then this person is found guilty. When you go to court and you make an allegation or you are pursuing, you are specific about what you are pursuing. You don't go today, you thought one thing here, tomorrow you thought another thing here to be distracting people, be going in cycles. I'm not into that. I don't have no time for that. Because people who do that, they don't want to stay focused. They want to get people to be jumping around here, jumping around here. The allegation that is there, let's go by that allegation. Let's prove that allegation. That's all that matters now. If they want to update the allegation, that one thing. But for us to be jumping around tomorrow, the framework document your file was yellow, then we got to roll that one. No, I'm not going to do that. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty here is, let's get to this document. Let's open this document. And if Mr. Cummings did something wrong to this document as they've claimed, then let him be held accountable. If not, let's cut this thing loose, cut to the chase, and move on. And stop fooling around. These United Party partisans, some of the United Party partisans who think that they are entitled, some of these ALP partisans who think that they are entitled, they think they can play games with the minds of the people, and that's the problem I have. Let's stay focused. What is initially, it can be recorded. Initially, United Party, Kelly Headman, Mo Ali.
No, I think you don't recall his name. Yeah, I think you don't call name. No. We can't do that.
Okay. I'm not calling him. Okay,
here's the thing. Okay, you don't even have to say that. Don't call him, man. Just discuss the issue, please.
Initially, United Party partisans, some of the executives are on record on radio of saying they never accused Mr. Cummings of anything. It is shocking to see that today they are saying that he did this and he did that. Just to tell you, the COSU supporter there was Joseph Waka. They got the COSU group. They got the Loudmouth group.
Hold on, just a second, Steve. Somebody say congratulations to me, my nomination on ACO as one. I don't even know how come nominated. I don't even know.
You know some of the distractions we're talking about here.
I'm nominated for what now?
And that's some of the distractions we're talking about here. We're talking serious thing. They're talking.
Congratulations, but me, I mean, in a big position, I will take it. But I don't even know what kind of position they appoint me on. How can somebody be appointed without your knowledge?
Right.
You check bien A. Eh? That either a constitution or a JMB supporter. One or two categories that are inside. So anytime you see this,
you know the message trying to say. You know, ACO, the Mango Party,
exactly.
the way you belong. Those are the troublists. Those are the trouble bigots.
Mr. Cummings, I know them when I see them.
Let's give them attention. You know, we welcome everybody here. The trouble bigots, the good people, the bad people, they're not so good. Everybody welcome here.
Most of the people who do that are either constitutions, go check the record, or the Joseph Waka supporter. I'm telling you,
I don't know who's doing it, but
I'm telling you because I've started to see how they're the pattern. We're taking the level of foolishness for CDC now. We pass it on to them, so then they keep moving around. But here's the issue. Mr. Kenneth. If only these guys will stay focused, we'll get to the bottom of this thing and try to seek exactly what the allegation is. Mr. Kenneth will make progress. Nobody is here defending anybody because that's not our role. But can we just stay focused for once on what the allegation is? What is our code? All the extra thing. Blue document was filed. Red document was filed. It was notarized on the deal. It was not notarized on the deal. Also to sound. Who sound? Those ones are not as important as the document itself. What was alleged. Now, again, if you want to update your complaint, that's fine. Go update it so the public can know. But let's stop going in cycles. Let's stop throwing things on the wall and see which one will stick. Let's get to the end of this and move forward. That's why I decided to focus on the nitty-gritty of the issue. The thing that we're fed up, because at the end of the day, let me be honest. This global economy that we're joking with, it will impact us a lot. This particular debt ratio that we have, 1.4 billion, that these crooks in CDC are pushing up. They keep borrowing. When they borrow for $1 million today, they take picture away. They say they went face road, we can see the road. They say they went face road, we can see that one. These things will impact the next government. It has the propensity to hold back the next government and for us to even borrow. So all of these things we need to be discussing it because they're national concerns that will affect us down the line. So that's why I decided to focus my question. The day they make all their mind on the allegation they want to focus on, we'll talk about me. I will talk about the allegation. Apart from that, they can go ahead and talk any different thing they want to talk. I'm not interested in today that blue document, tomorrow that yellow document.
But Steve, on a good note, for me, I'm happy that the independent report is coming out this week. Other than loving the idea of reading other reports, I love to read it like a novel. I'm just curious to see what's in there. So I'm looking forward to it.
I agree with you. I'm looking forward to it as well. And again, what's going to happen, that will change the direction of the conversation. Because what's going to happen, some people have already started discrediting the report before it even come out.
Exactly.
So that means people who are doing that, they already know exactly what they are doing. It means that they are not in search of the truth. They are not in search of anything. Their minds are made up. All they want to do is to continue to, to push the same agenda that they started with. But I think it will be very good for everybody, and it will serve all of us well if we can just wait and read what is in it, as Telco just said. Let's read. Let's understand exactly what is in it. You never know. But people already started, questioning the report before it comes out. So,
but Mr. Kana, you know what's interesting also? Talking about this report undermining, do you know what these guys have done? It was reported to us that these guys have gone strategically and decided to tell Mr. Cummings that, we know you didn't do anything where you didn't do anything with the document, but just take responsibility, and because you're where and you're
as a leader, you can take responsibility.
Exactly. That is the strategy they've decided
as a leader, you can take responsibility even if you didn't do anything.
And that's why you are hearing other networks and other people. You say, I'm not calling me, but I will leave it. Other network, other people, they're passing around, and that's why they're talking. That is a new talking point. If you listen to them, it's become a talking point. They're saying it over and over and over again to make it look as though somebody don't want to take responsibility. So in the end, you know what the end game is? They can come back and say, but the man took responsibility. So that means the report will come out, and the report and nothing. The man said he took responsibility. Listen. If you didn't do wrong, you didn't do wrong. Other people took responsibility because the facts caught them and the pens were caught. The caught with the pens down. That's simple. It's easy. Why go take responsibility for something that you didn't do?
I think we can call it a day.
Let's
we have other people to come on shortly. We are in conversation with a lot of people. I don't want to call names because people could tell them again, don't go SKTV, So we are talking to people. We want to make sure we bring everybody on here to get their side of the story and to know exactly what is going on. And to also be able to find an end game as to when and how this thing going to end. We cannot continue, with this kind of nonsense forever. We need to focus on issues. We need to focus on how and what you can do for Liberia and Liberian people as leaders. So I think enough of this, and hopefully it will come to a conclusion, a reasonable conclusion, sooner rather than later. But Telco, until then, I don't have anything else. We have to leave it here for today. I think it was a good show. You guys asked the right questions, and Mr. Cummings, he did his best to answer our questions. And our audience too, they call in and they gave some questions. I'm not just happy the fact that we never had enough time to entertain more calls from Liberia because the calls were so crazy coming. And hopefully next time we will at least give a little more time to call us, maybe probably 40 minutes. So that way we can entertain more calls and the guests will also have the opportunity to answer the questions. Yeah, but I think it was a great show. You guys did excellent as always, and I think we should go there. Unless Steve has something.
Yeah, I just want to make the announcements really quick. As we move into
Oh,
the new week.
open the line. Open the line for what we feel.
So just for a few minutes, we have a live outside of this, but let's open the line.
But the lines are open. You're Steve not taking the calls.
What's the number?
They people be calling. Yes, Steve, you calling. Steve not taking the number because I can see the missed call when the call is missed. I can see it.
Oh yeah.
Somebody called just now. Say it again. Hello.
Hey. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, we're doing okay, caller. What's your take?
What's your name first? Who is it?
Everything was good. Everything was good, but one of the issues I always get with people who get Senator or other politicians coming on live like this is that you're actually talking with them about the salary of president, maybe vice president, minister, deputy, or president. Yeah, you just spoke out another issue because we really need to talk on the politician to see that whether the salary can really be reduced, like 20 to 30% in the budget. If the budget is passed, then we'll get 80 to 90% of the salary. 90% or 80% of the salary will go in the budget, and only get 10% or 20%. You can't do anything in country with 10 to 20%. So we really need to talk if president can reduce the salary maybe with 10,000 or 15,000, vice president is 6,000 to 8,000. Then you get minister making 3,000 to 4,000, deputy making 1,000 to 2,000, then you get personnel making 1,000 to 2,000, then take the assistant minister out so that more people will not run in the government, because now in Liberia, everybody want to run in the government because the government is there to make everybody rich.
Thank you.
Private sector is not.
Thank you. I have a caller here.
Thank you. What's your name? What's your name again? We didn't get your name.
Yes, Val Mediman.
Okay, Milliman, thank you. Val Milliman, thank you.
All right, let's take this caller here.
Caller, what's your name?
Oh, you have callers?
Yeah, caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I got two here when you're done.
Yes. What's your name? Where you calling from, caller?
My name is Anthony Gay. I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Yes, Anthony, go ahead, please. Make your point really quick.
First of all, I want to say thank you to every one of you on the show. I think that the conversation, the question you guys asked was very professional, and I appreciate it. Chuck B, I spoke to said earlier that your perspective will change after the appearance of Mr. Cummings. And just be honest on this show, your perspective has changed of Mr. Cummings now, because I can tell from your facial expression. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you wanna care about
Mr. Kane.
What kind of exceptions that?
Mr. Kane, I get a call from Labrador. Big, let me take the call because they may.
No problem. Take it. We got a few minutes. We take the call.
That's good.
Yeah, caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
Hello.
Yes. What's your name? Where you calling from, please? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hearing you, Chief.
Okay, so thank you very much for taking my call. I'm calling for Labrador. I very wanted to ask Mr. Cummings a question, but it's like already left. So I will just make this reference quickly. You know, the normal politics they play in this country is
Who is this person, Steve? They didn't call your name?
Please identify yourself, your name, please.
I said my name is Siki Kuma. I'm calling from Labrador, district number 2.
Yeah, go ahead, Siki.
Okay. So the normal politics they do here, they will go and lie on people, try to bring people character down. At the end of the day, they go behind the scene and negotiate. So if anybody now from the ANC or Mr. Cummings, some of us will support him, and we are going to do everything to stand by him up to 2023. But here is the case. If Joe Walker and Yuri cannot come out after all this big case going on, cannot come out and tell the Liberian people that yes, we lie on this man because he refused to go serve him to Joe Walker. If they can't come up and do it, and Mr. Cummings go behind the door and settle with those people in the name of unifying the CPP or the opposition to unseat Georgia. Because this is not about unseating Georgia, it is about the Liberian people's future. Because if you just come together back to unseat somebody, at the end of the day, it will be the same talking to and all this stuff, and then the Liberian people will suffer. So if Mr. Cummings go behind the scene like the way the politicians do in this country, and settle with those people without making clarity on his character and the time they are wasting today in court,
some of us will not put that ticket. You are very clear with that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a good point.
Okay. Let me take some calls. I got 3 calls here.
Okay.
Let me see. This caller here, I think on the WhatsApp line. What is your name and where are you calling from? Last 4 digits is 4209.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Habib, and I'm calling from Germany.
Dr. Habib, go ahead from Germany. Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, the question I asked Mr. Cummings about as to whether he associate or his surrounding has the same vision that he had. It was on the ground. We know that everywhere now, like the citizen government, some people say President Weah is good, President Weah is not good, but his surrounding. Okay, we heard that Mr. Cummings is coming to Germany very shortly. But then the folks from the ANC camp in Germany, when they noticed that, okay, Sekou is identified with CDC or UP, they did not, this is Liberia, they did not reach the invitation out to other people. For example, they know that Moses is identified with MPP or with NTPL. So because Moses is identified with MPL, but they don't want to know that they have to incorporate more people to be on the winning side. That is one thing. And the second thing that the last caller, what the last caller said, my little man advice to Mr. Cummings. Let Mr. Cummings forget about all of those court issues, leave it with them when they take their things for 20 years, 50 years, because the reason why I'm saying it, I know Mr. Cummings is regretting to collaborate or identify with a unity party government that failed the Liberian people for 12 years, that down side and never right side, they are too plenty for the time. So, yeah, Mr. Cummings just do his own thing because he already know and he already regretting. Whether CP is a good thing for him, that is the whole CPP framework document is in quotes. Anything that is in quote is not supposed to be battled until they can come up with a finding. And then he forget about the case they start wasting resources and energy behind this CPP thing.
But it's not Mr. Cummings that got the case. It's the court that got the case. It's the court that can finish it, not Cummings.
No, I said to be corrected, I said if the court want to finish it within the next decade, then Mr. Cummings Yaki started. Anytime they said for him, he can go. Instead, when he bring Florencio, he bring the daughter for character. All that time, he's taking to put his energy behind the court and other people that coming after him. I think he can do better. He can do better if he decide to do better for the Liberian people to deliver them. I think he need to slow down on this CPT when the CPP framework document.
All right, thank you.
Call into the coach chicken out. When they don't call him, he do his thing.
All right, my brother. Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's go to another caller here. Caller, last 4 DJ is 5651. Are you there?
Hi, Sekou.
Hey.
Yeah, this is Eric Peabody. I'm calling from Texas.
Eric Peabody from Texas. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I want to ask, I didn't get a chance to ask a comment, or to make a comment, but usually the question is, what does Liberia need? In my mind, I think Liberia needs to change the system. Right now, the current system as in Liberia is rotten and is very, very bad. I think in order for you to change the system, you need to have a very transformative leader with radical ideas. I know that radical sounds way out there in left field, but Liberia is so far behind right now that it's going to take radical policies to change and turn things around. And as president, I want to ask Mr. Cummings, as president, he has control over making economic changes. But with the current legislature and the judges that have in running things in Liberia, he doesn't have any control over who Liberia will elect to serve in the legislature. Because if they continue to elect bad lawmakers, they can put a roadblock into Mr. Cummings' economic plans. So I want to ask him how, as president, how can he have an impact on who
are elected to serve as legislators and also the judges.
All right, no problem. Next time you come here, we will have the opportunity. We will open the line at least 40 minutes, so that way people can, a lot of people can call in and give their input. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the next caller here. Next caller here, 8617. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Charles. So I'm calling from Indiana.
Charles from Indiana. Charles, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Look, I've been watching the whole thing here, and I just want to let's call here.
No. Call up. Go ahead and turn off or tune down the monitor so you can listen to the phone directly.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It will have a delay if you continue to listen to the monitor.
Cummings is very serious. You won't take it for a joke. Because if Cummings is found that he is not guilty of what they are charging with, he will go to court. And Cummings said the other day he will ask for advice for his people, his team. And that is his Secretary General and his chairman. He not alone that were charged. They were also sick, and he was sick redress on behalf of himself and his Secretary General and his chairman. So you're looking at people like Europe, you're looking for maybe $50 million lawsuit, with only maybe $5 million and boycott, $5 or $6 million if you really bad and want to act. So I just advise you that, bro, for this, they shouldn't take it for a joke. No way, especially the talk shows that live in America, that live in Canada, that live in other places. Cummings could sue them where they are. You don't have to take a case in Liberia. You could sue them where they are because they don't want what they won't, trouble in this whole accusation.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so they should take it for a joke. Let them try to settle the thing. Whatever they have to say to Cummings, let them say and leave it because they may know people. And I want to believe that he has the money to say what he wanted in contact.
All right.
So they will not take it for a joke seriously.
So you're saying that Cummings, if not found guilty, Cummings and other people, they will sue a lot of different people, including some talk show hosts and people that kind of blemish his image, right?
That's what I'm saying. Cummings is angry.
All right.
How much of main character like that? That man belong to board of member of board of directors. You see, and this company, they company that they all call it. You see, that's $1 billion company, billion every day. He said that he need be damaged. He losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't think he has gone to board meeting since it started in December. All the months he hasn't gone to board meeting. That he be holding back to stay like bro. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars he be losing. The man is mad.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much.
So I just want them to have this, take it easy. Let the team of the CPP get together, call Cummings, let them sit down and talk, and let people start disrespecting him and insulting him. Okay. If not, Cummings will do what he says he will do.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, do you have a caller?
No, I think we're good.
Call her day now. I think we heard a lot of
TV looking at her. She was there looking like she gotta go have dinner.
She's hungry.
Yeah.
Steve, you know what? Oh, people not tell you.
So there's
I gotta go.
Hold on.
Let's see what hours burning now. He wants to stay today.
No, I said I gotta go.
Where you coming from?
I'm tired. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm Sekou Kamara calling from you in Dubai.
Oh, Sekou Kamara from Dubai. Oh, I think this is our first time getting a call from Dubai. We got call from all over the world, but Dubai people don't let to call us. How are you?
we can
Beautiful Dubai.
when we first started the show, but a lot of people on the show now, we can't get place to call now.
Oh, really? All right. We apologize for that. Go ahead, sir. So, what's going on? I mean, what's on your mind? What do you think about the interview?
Yeah, I'm Sekou Kamara, Comrade Kamara from UAE, the chairman of the Liberian Muslim community.
Okay.
And I called, but there was no way for me to talk to Mr. Kume.
Oh, sorry about that.
My question is this way. We are talking about the land issue in Nima. We need a leader, political leader, that will come and tell that when they become president, they will solve the issue in Nima country. Because we are from Nima, we are like a refugee around the world. We don't have place to go. We don't have home to go. Both in Liberia, most of our brothers live in Ghana, Jakarta. We that in UAE, those are in America, we don't have place to go. So you guys should ask your politician, which one is waiting when they become president, that they will solve that land issue in Nima country. In South Africa, the same issue in South Africa now is in land business. So we are calling on you guys, those are in the media, to ask the politician that when they become president, how will they solve the land issue between the Mano, the Kyo, and the Madingo? Thank you so much. That is my impact.
Thank you very much, my brother. So the next time any of the political leaders comes here, we will make sure we ask that question. It's very important. It's very, very important. But thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Telco, yeah, I know people follow us from all over the world. I know that, but people know we normally hear from South Korea, from China, from pretty much South America, anywhere. But this is my first time getting a call directly
from beautiful Dubai.
From Dubai. So it's good to know that a lot of people are following. It's very, very important. So Steve,
yes,
and Tel, I think we have said enough.
Yes.
I think Steve will go ahead with his. Anyway, we try. We. Let me reserve that comment, right? Because I wanted to make some announcement that's not confirmed yet, so I will just wait.
I'll confirm. So hold off.
Yes. I'll confirm it before I can, before we can come and announce it. Yeah. So we have some other big names that are on the line to come here to have a conversation on everything Liberia. Hopefully, we will conclude those arrangements very soon, and then we'll bring them on. But in game. A big thank you to Steve and Telco for keeping SKTV alive. For me, it'd be crazy for me. I've been extremely busy, but I mean, it happens sometimes. There's season for everything. So when that season comes, you got to take advantage of it and get the best out of it. And this politics is never gonna finish. It's everyday business. And a big thank you to our audience, to our followers. Even though sometimes you're not fair to us, someday when we get some big people that come in, all they can run to come because of their own.
I said today, what I said.
Yeah, because the thing was going to 1.4, all those kind of things, but now
I thought Steve bought you, sir. I thought he put a credit card on file to buy
I know, right? Yeah, before you know everybody started coming. But then the day we come then they're supposed to more than that. All they can live on a loop by ourselves, but it's okay. So we want to encourage each and every one of you to be coming, even if your political leader is not here. But there are people who are consistent followers that I want to say thank you to. Regardless of somebody here or not, they're always here. But all the people Rosalind there and Anthony Gate, and they be cherry picking the day what to come, the day not to come. You know what? I'm gonna start blocking all the CDC people there now. Because you can only count on when Alex Cummings is here. You better be coming to SKTV every day.
But I think Rosalind's always here though. I mean,
no, she's not always here.
Really?
If she's not always here, she can come, but only when ANC be discussed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So anyway. My message is here. Remy Gracie always here. That one is my boy.
Somebody asked me how they get to NATO.
Yeah, but the donation part. Don't even worry about that one. No. Me, I even forgot. I even forgot my cash out number and said because you put them when you put a number there. I wouldn't one person can say, "Oh, father, why is this?" They cash it. When somebody say money, somebody don't say money. You always say father. You always say father. Like you say, I already Philip pay my bill. So Steve, if you don't have anything to say, we can call it a day.
Let's make it. Go ahead.
No. I know Mr. Cummings gone, but I know some of his, the people are still watching, including his executives. I see Mr. Perkins on there. Some other.
A lot of people stay here, but we just got to go.
So I think I want to give this feedback recommendation to move forward. I understand he's building teams, which is a good thing, but I think if not part of that process, that he include a team that will monitor the social media as a whole, making sure that not just all the people, but the people that are in key roles, that their actions and what they're doing out there, they are aligning with the party objective and his leadership style and what he stands for. Just as he talked about the bowl of rice, I always like to talk about the bank teller example. We don't see the C-level executive like Mr. Cummings. Who we see are the personal bankers and the tellers. So it's very important that they mirror what his vision is for Liberia in their communications and in their actions. Thank you.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So, Steve?
Well, let's make the announcements. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for being here. Tomorrow we'll be on. As you all are aware, tomorrow we got a lot of things to talk about, especially in other news. We got a list of the core group member. We got a list tomorrow. We'll be calling roll. So the core group member, then we'll be calling roll. We'll be calling their names. Tomorrow we'll also be discussing other national issues. Also, no joke. We'll be discussing some national issues. So please, same time, same place. You already know the schedule. Thursday will be on as well. Unless something comes up between Tuesday and Wednesday. As you all know, the schedule will not be on. Friday will not be on for mental health and wellness because Friday is the kickoff of the inauguration in Arizona. So we'll not have no show Friday. Saturday will not have no show. Sunday will not have no show. So the entire after Thursday show, you're on your own. We'll see your.
No, we have a show on Saturday. We're bringing the inauguration live. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one at different level. That one at different level.
That different level. So don't go say then I hear that.
Listen now, leave that thing. Don't bring noise in the thing.
Oh, bring noise.
So, okay. It's still open. You're welcome to the inauguration. We're having our inauguration here. You're more than welcome. Everybody's open to the public. Welcome to Arizona. For those of you that are coming, I'm sure you're ready. I saw your dancing shoe that you told me that you bought a new dancing shoe. Mr. Kane, she bought dancing shoe.
Yeah, and she's gonna be the judge between me and you. Who can the last chance that you can dance.
Do that thing.
Now, Tell gonna be the judge, right? Tell.
I'm looking forward to eating that roasted meat, Masuya.
Oh no, that one, pa. I already told my wife. I say, "Tell go come in, Yasini come in, all the people when coming."
But guess what?
And the Hatai will be here.
The prelude last night. The prelude last night. How you?
That one, pa, not easy.
That was not small. We're preluding for today. That was not small. So definitely, the attire, the roasted meat, everything will be chilling here all weekend. So
all
thank
right.
you. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Okay.
Nikimajigi aladi porota. Mamadu Wangede
All right, folks, that will do it for today. It was good being here with you guys. I want to say thank you to all of you for sticking to us throughout. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night. We love you all and see you tomorrow.